Another way that we use to solve the quadratic equation is through the use of completing the square. Some students prefer it over the quadratic formula, but it really just depends on you. So usually there's a little template that I use. I'll show you that here in just a moment. Completing the square is done with equations written in standard form. So our first step is to set the equation equal to 0. So make sure that it's still written in standard form, right? That your square term, then you have your linear term, then a constant equal to 0. Alright, then we divide everything by a. So remember, you're going to divide all of the equation by that a value, which is 3. So 3x squared divided by 3 is just x squared. Negative 12x divided by 3 is negative 4x. And 18 divided by 3 is 6. On this side, 0 divided by 3 is still 0. So now this is the part where students tend to get a little confused. So I just remember this type of layout. You're always going to have an x plus and a square. And then you're going to drop your c down. And then you're going to put a minus and equals 0. And what we're going to do here is this first blank, I'm going to take my b value and divide it by 2. Alright, so negative 4 divided by 2 is negative 2. And that's what goes in this first blank. Now this second blank, I'm going to take that value I just got, where I divided by 2, and I'm going to square it. So this negative 2 is going to get squared. So negative 2 times negative 2 is 4. Okay, then I'm going to clean up some of my signs. So this says x, when you add a negative, it's the same thing as subtracting 2 squared. And then I'm going to collect my like terms here. 6 minus 4 is a positive 2. Then I need to add or subtract the constant. Here I'm subtracting that constant. So I have x minus 2 squared equals negative 2. Then I need to take the square root of both sides. Now remember, whenever you take a square root to counter a square, you need to put a plus or a minus here. So I'm going to have plus or minus when I go to rewrite this equation out. Let's see what that looks like. So here on the left side, my square goes away and I get x minus 2 equals positive or negative. Now to take the square root of a negative number, I have to pull the negative out by calling it an I. And then the square root of 2 doesn't simplify, so it stays as the square root of 2. And then my last step here is to add or subtract this term. Here, because it's subtracting, I'm adding it, so I get x equals 2 plus or minus, I'm going to move my constant in front of my I, so the square root of 2 I. Now make sure it's very clear, guys, that where the square root of 2 ends, and that the I is outside of it. Some people put what I call a rain gutter on their radical, just to show you where it ends. But there it is. These are two solutions. They are imaginary solutions, but they are the solutions to the equation.